budget. You are welcome.
Thank you, Eila. My name is Gerd Johanne Valen, and I am a site manager for the Struve Geodetic Arc in Norway. And my task today is to talk about why Struve Geodetic Arc is on the World Heritage List and why it is of such an outstanding universal value. It is a long process to become a site inscribed on the World Heritage List. I will just mention the most essential aspect of it. First, a state or a transnational organization like the mapping authorities need to have a unique cultural or natural heritage. Then the site must fit the description of outstanding universal value. Can you take next? These sites are reckoned as more valuable than, for instance, other cultural or natural heritage sites, because they are important for the whole humanity. And to understand this, we must try to understand the establishing of the United Nations and UNESCO after the Second World War. UNESCO is the UN Organization for Education, Science, Culture and Communication. And its primary target was to help to ensure an end to war. Peace was to be secured through education, knowledge, science, culture, communication, and international cooperation. This is still the foundation of UNESCO's activities. In 1972, the World Heritage Convention came, an agreement between states to protect both the world's natural and cultural heritage. More than 1,000 sites are now inscribed on the World Heritage List. World Heritage is a very varied and diverse phenomenon. The state parties to the convention have an obligation to identify, conserve, present and transmit to future generations its cultural and natural heritage, as well as ensuring that the heritage has a function in the life of the community. UNESCO has a set of 10 criteria. A place should meet at least one of the 10 selection of criteria to be of outstanding universal value. Struve Arc meets 3 of 10. And shortly and in a simplicity way, we can explain Struve Geodetic Arc criteria like this. Next photo, please. Criteria 2. By exchange of human values, they develop earth sciences. Triangulation is a method for measuring over long distance. A network of triangles by measuring the length of one side of each triangle and deducing its angles and the length of the 2 other sides by observing them from the baseline. A chain of triangles with sides between 20 and 27 kilometers long, sides from Ismail on the Black Sea to Hammerfest in Finnmark. Next. The method refers to a combination of 13 astronomic observations and exact measuring of 10 baselines. By combining mathematics and astronomy, they could deduce the length of the arc and establish the exact size and the shape of the Earth. Scientists, surveyors, authorities, instrument makers, and local societies cooperated for common aims. By exchanging knowledge, the project continued to develop sciences of the Earth. Next. Criterion 4. The traces illustrating phases in human history. The authentic traces after the expeditions are an ensemble of geodetic station points. These traces are marks in rock or cairns on a mountaintop, or a point in a church tower, or like in Tartu, in the observatory. They are two-dimensional in the sense of being material and abstract, or we can maybe also use the term tangible and intangible. The traces illustrate both the expeditions in our area, the political situations, the local societies and culture, and the cooperation for purpose of science. Next. Criterion 6. The surveying of the Meridian arc is associated to science of universal value. Maybe they do not represent human wonders like the Great Wall of China, the pyramids of Egypt, or the Machu Picchu in Peru, but certainly they represent the humans wondering about the earth and earlier scientists trying to understand the shape and the size of the earth. Some of us have heard about the theories in the late 1700s which refers to the shape of the earth as a lemon or a mandarin, and the expeditions to areas south and north of the equator. But long before the humans have been interested in the shape and the size of the earth, about 2,500 years ago, astronomers concluded that the Earth was spherical, like Eratosthenes calculated 200 years before our era. The principle at that time has later been used to measure geodetic arcs, and Isaac Newton came up with the theory in 1687 that the globe was flattened by the poles because of rotating and centrifugal force. So now I have gone through the criterion which made Struve geodetic arc to a World Heritage Site, a site shared by 10 countries. When it comes to management, we have more elements to include in the protection of the World Heritage. How can we understand the property from Hammerfest to Ismail as a whole? What are the attributes, the element of World Heritage property which embody and convey its value? In Norway, for Struve geodetic arc, we have defined the chain of triangles and the sight lines from one geodetic point to another. Special landscape room for choosing some geodetic points instead of others, because their identification is vital to understand the condition of authenticity and integrity of a property. Next. So we have some challenges. In a way, the Struve geodetic arc has other challenges than when conveying this World Heritage Site than, for example, Røros, Old Roma, or the Gammelstad Church in Luleå. Maybe I can claim that Struve geodetic arc does not have a facade or a concentrated aesthetic or architectural environment that easily satisfy the feelings of something authentic, unique, and inalienable. Instead, I believe that Struve geodetic arc has a simpler potential to convey the cornerstones of UNESCO. 10 nations share a World Heritage Site. The site is our common cultural capital, and Struve geodetic arc is dependent on cooperation, sciences, and common rules for management, caring and using this World Heritage. The Meridian arc runs today through 10 different nations. Back then it was only 2 states, Russia and Sweden, but still there were different methods related to different landscapes, different local societies, cultures, and people. Since it was 10 national states mapping authorities, agreement and cooperation that led Struve geodetic arc to the World Heritage list, many local societies were perhaps not so involved in the process. Perhaps a lack of knowledge has led to a lack of involvement in the local communities along the arc. And as a result of that, it has been difficult to create the geodetic points on the World Heritage List as good attractions and authentic experience for visitors, I believe. But this project, I think, the northern part of Struve Geodetic Arc, which is financed by Interreg North, can change our situation. Next photo. Wait a minute. I think you have come too far. Just a minute, Ayla. Yes, that's the right picture. The huge task of conducting a survey of the Earth's size and shape started in 1816 and was completed 40 years later. Struve was an astronomer and a geodist. He took the initiative, and together with a military surveyor called Tenner, I think we have to go back. I think you was on the right place, Ayla. With a military surveyor called Tenner, they managed to survey the longest triangulation change of all time. The story from place to place are diverse. In Norway, it was Christopher Hansten who led the surveying, but since he was 60 years old, he sent Kloman, Lund, and Lindhagen to Finnmark. And Lindhagen was an astronomer connected to Pulkova in Russia, and he was only in Finnmark in 1850. But to find the different stories of the expeditions and the histories of the different local communities along the arc at that period will demand searching archives and writing stories, but it will also demand new questions. Next photo. The result we all know. It shows that the length of 1 degree is 359 meters greater at Fuglnes in Hammerfest than at the Black Sea. The shape of the Earth and the size became very accurate. It means that we know the scientific result, but did the mapping of the territories have an impact on other parts of the societies and cultures that we need to discuss and search for? I will now talk about the Norwegian points. Next photo. Today we have inscribed 4 points to represent Struve Geodetic Arc in Norway. 3 geodetic points from the main triangle chain in Norway. And the main triangle chain in Norway have 15 station points. The main triangle chain altogether has an amount of 265 main station points from Hammerfest to Ismail. And 34 of these are on the World Heritage List. Then we have also 1 point in Norway that represent one of the 60 substation points. That's Lille Reipas. This is an extended network in Alta, which has altogether 10 geodetic points. So altogether in Norway, we have 25 points, and 21 of them are authentic. We reckon they are authentic. Next photo. In Finland, 6 of the total 34 station points have been selected to represent the entire arc on the World Heritage List. Here I should have a photo of them and not the Norwegian points. But 3 of them comes from Tornio and up to the Norwegian border. And in Sweden, 4 out of 7 station points have been selected to the World Heritage List. Next photo. The endpoint in Hammerfest, Fullness, where the astronomical observations were done by Lindhagen in 1850, has today a unique statue. The aim was to have two similar statues at each end, but fortunately it became different in Norway. And I say fortunately because the statue in Ismail is made of iron, and iron is not a good material for the coast in Norway. The Norwegian geographic surveyors let an architect design a more monumental statue. It was designed by Wilhelm von Hanno and raised in Hammerfest as early as 1854. It was shaped with a pillar of granite that rise from a square plinth. The pillar carries a column head with four corners, and on the top of it, it is a globe in copper. Next photo. Since 2017, experts on stone and metals have examined the condition to the statue. Several measures have been implemented for maintenance. The kittiwakes have done a lot of damage to the column head and the globe. The development pressure to the surroundings started already during the reconstruction of Hammerfest in 1950s and are still a challenge. Our attempts to safeguard the statue is because we want the current generation should be able to visit and enjoy our World Heritage in a way that will allow future generations to benefit from and have access to it. And this is our aims for all the geodetic station points on the World Heritage List. Next. Lille Reipers is situated in Alta, 5 kilometers east of the center. The station point is 287 meters over the sea level and represents the extended triangulation net in the arc measurement, which has connected to a measurement of a set length known as a baseline in Alta. They use wooden surveyor's staffs and measured in flat terrain 2,252 meters. That line is today under the airport in Alta. So these two A and B points are gone. Next photo. After 2017, we have been working with the 2-kilometer long trail or path up to the mountaintop. We still have some wet parts to secure for tourists. Also, the original point we need to secure better, and we have a plan for a dissemination arena, but we have some lack of finances. In Kautokeino, we have 2 points. We have concentrated on securing the path to only one of them, Mouravari. Still, it is a lot of work to be done on this path. Next photo. How can we make Struve geodetic art interesting for visitors? From our own experience, my experience as cultural tourists, we often seek places we perceive as authentic. How can we reinforce that feeling when we facilitate the points for visitors, our World Heritage? Is it possible to do that for the endpoint in Hammerfest? A small town changed from a devastating war to a modern fishing industry in the 1960s and to a technological gas extraction from 2000. Everything near the Meridian change has changes several times since Struve's time. The statue is the oldest monument in the town, an endpoint in Struve geodetic art. And I'm wondering, how can the local authorities take care of and be proud of the World Heritage status in a town with so many needs for changes? Another thought is related to Lille Reipers, an arena with a unique geology and a local history. The path unfortunately starts near a quarry, and mining wheel loaders can pass you before you find the path. But the path goes through small hills and traces from copper mines from the first half of the 19th century. A place where people from the whole Nordkalotten, got work in the first mining industry, and where the English theory about a patriarchal company town was set out in praxis in Alta, especially in Kåfjord. Also here, we know that the surveyor used a peak as a geodetic point in the extended network, and we know that they could not avoid to meet the workers at Lille Reipas when they used this geodetic point and established it. And we also know from the sources that they met the company owners in Kåfjord. Mowbravari or Beljasvari has another attraction, the point which is situated near the first settled village in Audsi in Kautokeino. It has a path through beech forest and marshes, but the bare mountain peak envelops this river village, and you can see the top from everywhere. Mowbravari has a lot of stories that can be told. For instance, the name, Beljasvari Mowbravari, a new name which came with the surveyor's cairn building, has surrounding area with a lot of traces from Sami culture. Next photo. Also Lodiken is special with a path across the bare plateau with reindeer herding, has characterized the landscape in long time. I think it's important to consider how to make the point attractive and provide an experience of cultural history to a specific landscape, to take care of the traces and at the same time utilize them as an experience of the World Heritage Struve Geodetic Arc. Next photo. So, what does sustainability mean in this context? For me, it is to share our knowledge about Struve Geodetic Arc and its outstanding universal value. By sharing it to future generations, we can hope they will care for these values into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I will stop recording now. That was very beautiful.